The suspect then fled the scene with some money. So this person did get some money, and then the suspect was placed into custody a short time later. We do know that that suspect also sustained some gunshot wounds to his body and is injured and had to be transported to Northwestern Hospital, right now listed in stable condition. No other injuries reported. This is at a time where it is still busy in the downtown area. We do know charges are pending. You can continue to follow that story on Fox32Chicago.com and also Fox Local. Now, we do want to bring it back live now and talk about something that is really interesting. It is hurricane season, and normally at this time we're seeing the videos of hurricanes unfolding across the United States, but overall it has been pretty quiet. And here to talk more about this with us is Ian Oliver, who is with Fox Weather. Thank you so much for being with us. Ian, we can't hear you. I don't know if it's muted somehow. I know you're a meteorologist there. You may want to unmute yourself. I think you're muted on Zoom. Make sure you unmute yourself. But yeah, I want to have this conversation with you. There you go. I can hear you now.
Alrighty, sorry about that. Yeah, we're still it's a new setup for us. We're still working through the kinks. But yeah, I can hear you. It's the peak of the season. This is the day that the averages tell us we're most likely to have a tropical system somewhere in the basin, the tropical Atlantic, the Caribbean, the Gulf, and there's nothing. So, I mean, that is obviously unusual. It's the first time in 16 years that that's been the case. A blessing to have that happen in the middle of the season, but in a meteorological sense, it's definitely unusual.
Any indication as of why? Why is it so quiet right now? What has changed, I guess, in the atmosphere to make it where we're not talking about hurricanes right now?
So we have a couple of things, and I want to show you that. You can see on the screen we still have 57% of activity. Averages tell us that also, of the hurricane season still to go. All that to say there's a long way to go working through the season, but if you remember back to last year, it was right about this time, the forecast for last year was this hyperactive hurricane season. We got to the peak of the season about now, and it was crickets. There was nothing happening for 3 straight weeks. And then we moved a couple weeks later, we had Francine, and then back-to-back major hurricanes, monstrous and terrible storms for the southeast in Helene and Milton. So that's the cautionary tale here. But yeah, as you look out across the basin, let me get that pulled up and show you what we have going on. There's been a bunch of atmospheric stability, and this is something that we talked about. The amount of instability, not all unlike across the Midwest, which would fuel thunderstorms. It's been warm air from the surface of the ocean, which is warm, which is part of the reason why the forecast was for an above average season, but the air above it is sinking and stable. So these thunderstorms, the very early seeds that would become hurricanes, kind of get stifled. They get bullied a bit by some of that sinking air, and there's also been a bunch of dry air and dust that's been present across the basin. So these are all good things, but we know, particularly with sea surface temperatures as they are, the basin's quiet until it's not. So we have to stay vigilant at least through these next 6-7 weeks, especially for homegrown storms too, Northwestern Caribbean and looking toward the Gulf.
Being that you're a meteorologist, Ian, you said this is unusual. Here we are in Chicago. We're experiencing really like a warm-up, which is kind of wild because we're supposed to be slowly but surely creeping into fall. Any other unusual weather activity that you're seeing out there that may not really be activity at all?
Yeah, I mean, no news is good news sometimes, right, in the weather world. But you said it. You guys had this little bit of a fake out, right? That was fall. Fake fall arrived, and now we've got this omega block pattern. And Jordan, I'm not sure if we have that pulled back up, but effectively now all the cool air is being pushed West Coast, East Coast. We're getting to enjoy some of that here in New York. But there's this big ridge, which will be quiet conditions, but it will be warm and it'll be dry. We've got these temperatures 15, 20 degrees above average. This is actually a good thing, though, for places like the Pacific Northwest, talking spots like Portland, over to Spokane, Seattle. Many of these places just recorded a top 10. There's the weather pattern right there. It looks funky, but that's what we have going on. They had a top 10 warm and dry summer, and that put them at terrible risk for fires. We've seen those breaking out. Some of the air quality that's spread, a reduction in air quality, spread all the way across much of the United States. This brings some rain, it brings some cooler temperatures, and it'll most certainly help them out in the effort fighting against some of those fires.
Ian, I know you're saying that, this is typically peak season. It's quiet right now. How do those hurricanes typically impact the weather that we have here right in our own backyard?
So we've kind of called it the great defender of the United States, that big dip in the jet stream, which is still in place. You could see it with that omega blocking pattern. Jordan, if we could pull that back up and show them, that promotes a path out to sea for hurricanes, and that has been protecting the East Coast. As that goes away, though, and we may actually start seeing, it appears as though the 2 o'clock, I know I join you East Coast time, for us 2 o'clock, this just came out from the National Hurricane Center, and it actually appears as though they might be adding a new area to watch. And at Fox Weather, we have this product. It's an exclusive product. They worked hard on this the last several weeks. It's you could call it a smart average of the GFS, which is the American forecast model, the European forecast models, those ensembles, which it's all tweaks to the forecast model to represent kind of the unknowables in the atmosphere, plus Google's AI model, which that's the really cool thing here. It's brand new. It's called DeepMind, and it's been doing really well with tropical forecasting. That's the tropical threat probability over the next week, so the possibility of a tropical system getting going. It's up to 40, almost 50%. That's for a wave, a disturbance that's going to emerge off the west coast of Africa over the next couple days, probably sometime around Friday or so. So that'll be interesting. That'll be something to watch. It could be the first inklings that some things are changing. And this is the European forecast model. If you look at some of the moisture, it's that green, the dark green representing that. We may start to see, call it this time next week, a little something getting started. But I do want to pull it back to, this hasn't been updated yet because we're getting some mixed messaging. The zones in the northwestern Caribbean, to your point about the changing weather patterns as we move through fall, from the Lesser Antilles, eastern part of the Caribbean, over to the west coast of Africa, that's kind of where the big storms brew. And that's the spot we watch in the middle of the season. But the Caribbean and the Gulf, by the end of this month into October, that's where we watch for some storms that get going closer to home. We know how warm the Gulf is and the Western Caribbean, and those are the ones that we have less lead time because they don't exist until they're closer to the United States, unlike the storms like we had with Erin, and I know you guys were following Erin. That started as a wave just west of Cabo Verde, and we followed that for days. It was a couple weeks following it on Fox Weather. There it is. So the crew's working hard. This just came out a couple minutes back. 20% chance now. So we can no longer say that there's nothing to watch in the Atlantic. Now as of 2 o'clock Eastern time, there is.
All right, and that's why we depend on you guys there at Fox Weather. Ian Oliver, meteorologist there. We appreciate you. We know you'll be vigilant along the way. Thank you so much for joining us on Chicago Live.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
All right, it was a pleasure, and we have much more coming up on Chicago Live, including talking locally with Alderman Anthony Beal about a new hotel coming to Pullman. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. Some really exciting news out of the northwest suburbs earlier today. This is a first for the region. Pace unveiled a new ADA transfer facility right in Schaumburg. And joining us now to talk about it is Maggie Daly Skogsbacken, who is with Pace. Hopefully I got your name right there, Maggie. Thank you so much for joining us. Did I get your name right? Is it Skogsbacken?
You got really close. It's Skogsbacken.
Skogsbacken. All right. Well, we try. Let's talk about this new facility and really what it means to the region.
You know, this facility has been around since the 90s. It was time for it to get a general facelift as well as to get some modern amenities there. So the building that is there, the ADA Paratransit Transfer Facility, is one of two. We'll be starting another one in Calumet City later this year, early next year. And we are able to get these projects underway thanks to funding through the Rebuild Illinois program.
So you said it was basically a renovation of such. Can you talk about some of the new amenities that people will see there?
Absolutely. So the building has real-time information. It screens, or it will. It has a Ventra machine. It has a warm waiting area and seating, as well as bathrooms for passengers. And then we expanded the park and ride lot as well for the multimodal users we have who drive to the park and ride area. And then we have 4 charging stations for electric cars there now. It allows us more capacity for those who commute partially with their vehicle and want to use public transit the rest of the way. We have a lot of riders who will take our I-90 Express service from the Northwest Transportation Center and go to Rosemont to take the Blue Line downtown. And because we're able to use the shoulder when there's congestion, we can get people there pretty reliably and pretty quickly.
Why is it important? You mentioned the EV stations. Obviously, there are a lot of EV vehicles on the road. Why is it important to go with this more modern technology at some of these locations?
I mean, at the end of the day, public transportation wants to take vehicles off the road. It wants to reduce congestion, and it wants to improve air quality. So as part of that broader mission, as well as trying to put our own fleet into a more zero emission arena, this just fulfills that part of our mission and allows people who care about the environment and want to be able to take whatever portion of their commute trip they can using public transportation, have that option.
You mentioned that another facility will get kind of the same renovations. This one will be further south. When will that one be ready, and how long does a project like this take?
Yeah, so the one in Calumet, nothing exists there yet. So this will be a totally new ADA paratransit facility. Like at Northwest Transportation Center, it's just the building really and the parking lot that's new. The Calumet one will be entirely new. And I want to say the Northwest TC one started in 2023. I think we broke ground. So between 2 and 3 years from something once design and A&E are done.
How much money does it take to get these facilities, especially the one that we're talking about in Schaumburg, since there was already a building? How much money does it take to get that done? And is that passed on to the rider in any way?
So we are able to do these things using capital funding, a lot of grants, a lot of investments, some from the federal government, some from the state. So while the canopies and the bus waiting area were already at Northwest TC, the actual building was not. That's 100% new. So that portion, along with like the new parking lot area, a little over $7 million.
Okay, got it. And
most of that came through Rebuild Illinois.
Okay. And so the facility in Calumet, you said, started in 2023. And so now it's just the next phase of getting it up and operational.
Well, yeah, Northwest Division. I'm sorry, the one we just did today, that started in 23. So they really did a good job of staying on schedule and getting it done in the time that we wanted them to. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be an apples to apples comparison on construction timeline for the Calumet facility, but it's around the same timeline.
Well, Maggie, we appreciate the upgrades. I'm sure the community does, and we appreciate you joining us on Chicago Live to talk about something that's really important to the community, especially when you're talking about it's starting to get cold out there. You want to have a place to sit if you're waiting. So, yeah, we appreciate you joining us.
I'm grateful for you, and I love, this is the best part of my job, is talking about the good things we do. So I'm always happy to be here.
All right, and we hope to talk to you again about the Calumet location when that's up and running. Thank you so much for being with us. We want to go to Cassie Carlson now. Of course, we know the Bears have taken a lot of heat, didn't win that first game of the season, but let's hope they will win on the road in Detroit. And we're going to talk to Cassie Carlson now. We know that the coach, Ben Johnson, and Caleb Williams, the QB, they're set to talk to the media at 2 o'clock. Cassie, nice to see you. And any idea of what we can expect from the coach and the QB?
Well, it's a little bit of a weird week, right? Because it's a short week because they played Monday night and now they have to turn around and go play Sunday at 12 p.m. in Detroit. So right now, the players are just arriving to Hallis Hall. They're going to go through a walkthrough later today. So it's not your typical week, which they haven't really had yet this season because of that primetime game on Monday night. So we'll hear from Ben Johnson, who spoke a little bit about the Monday night loss yesterday. We'll hear from him again, probably more so looking forward to returning to Detroit, where he came from, where he served as the offensive coordinator for 3 years. Then we're going to hear from Caleb Williams. And it'll be the first time we hear from Caleb Williams since he talked post-game Monday after that loss to the Vikings. So I still think there's probably going to be a ton of questions about how he played in that game and then also how he's going to try and turn the page and move forward.
Any idea in terms of, I guess the plus here is that Ben Johnson kind of knows the game that Detroit plays. Any movement in Detroit or anything that shows that the Bears can definitely pull out the W?
Well, Detroit lost week 1 to the Packers, and it seems like the Packers trading for Micah Parsons kind of shifted how everyone feels about this division. The betting odds changed in favor of the Packers to win the division, and I think you're a little bit, you're not thrilled to go into Detroit, which is already a very hostile environment, and you're not thrilled to get Detroit coming off a loss. Now, the conversation in Detroit has changed a little bit too, because not only did they lose Ben Johnson, they lost their defensive coordinator and Aaron Glenn as well. So they have 2 new coordinators, and a lot of people are talking about maybe this offense is stalling with their new offensive coordinator. And Ben Johnson was the secret sauce to making Jared Goff look like an MVP candidate, because they couldn't really get the run game going last week against the Packers. So I think it's going to be a really tough matchup just going on the road, knowing the fact that Lions fans were not happy that Ben Johnson went to a division rival and took this head coaching job here in Chicago. So there's going to be a lot of storylines heading into this game, and he knows just how loud Ford Field can be. They have some serious home field advantage that the Bears are going to have to work through.
Let's talk about Caleb Williams. He started out the game really strong against the Minnesota Vikings, 10 straight completions to begin the game. That kind of broke apart as we went towards the end of the game. Any idea of, what he may say, what he can do to kind of change his play when we go on the road to Detroit?
Yeah, I think the one thing to keep in mind with Caleb Williams and really this entire Bears offense is that you're going to have to be patient, because it's going to take some time. Basically, the way that people say learning a new offense in football is like learning a new language. And maybe the most important thing about learning a new offense is forgetting the old one. And I think we saw Caleb Williams revert back to a lot of the ways that we saw him play last year. And mind you, he looked really good on that first drive. Those first drive plays, those are all scripted. They know those are coming heading into that game. And then after that is when you started to see the drop off and him kind of going back into those bad habits of not being able to get the ball under pressure, being inaccurate downfield. I think a lot of the inaccuracies were a huge issue and surprise for people, thinking they just thought it was going to be a little bit better in year 2. Now, I think going forward, one thing they're going to really have to shore up, and I'm sure we'll touch on with both Ben and Caleb today, is the penalties. They had 12 penalties for 127 yards. And you're just not going to win football games in this league, especially in the division, if you're already being set up behind the chains. And so the Bears need to figure out a way to get their cadence down. And that's something that Caleb Williams talked about going into this season, is changing his cadence, using it as a weapon, but it just didn't show up. They weren't all on the same page Monday night against the Vikings. Now, going into the Lions game, they could be using a silent count because of how loud it is going to be in there. So that actually could play into the favor of the Bears, just being more so on the same page and hopefully not getting so many offensive penalties and false starts.
You're right. Those penalties were really hard to watch. And some of them felt very amateur to even be happening in an NFL game. Cassie, you started here in Chicago, April of 2022. We've heard about the culture of the Bears, changing under Ben Johnson. Can you kind of talk from just, a reporting, journalistic perspective of what you have personally seen with your own eyes, what you've seen change in the course of now under Ben Johnson?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that comes to mind is accountability because Matt Eberflus never really took accountability. It became an issue in the locker room where players were like, hey, we want accountability from our head coach, and then you can hold us accountable as well. And Ben Johnson said right after the game that it was on him that this team didn't appear to be ready to go Monday night. And he was going to take a look at himself. He said he didn't feel like he called his best game. There were a couple of situational things that he said he could have done a better job at. So I think it goes a long way to hear your head coach say, I have to be better first, and then also coach up the players and say, we're going to look through this film, we're going to see how we can get better. And then he also said that the effort was not an issue. You know, a lot of times I think last year there were some instances where players had loafs, they call them in football, where they're just not putting in full effort or they let someone run by them. And I don't think that was an issue in this game at all. I think it's other stuff. So I think the accountability factor is the number one thing. And all the players have said that because Ben Johnson, he is very, very demanding. He is very detailed. He is very intense. That is something that's shown up all the way from his introductory press conference, really, especially with the way he approaches his players. And I think we saw that on game day too. And I think it was refreshing from the players to hear it from their head coach that he said, I can be better. I will put my team in a better position to succeed. And I think that's going to go a long way with them.
Cassie, you've done great since you've been here at Fox 32. You always do great when you step in front of that camera. You have a new show that you're a part of that starts right on Fox 32 tonight. Can you talk about it?
Yes, Chicago Sports Tonight is it'll be 5 days a week. So it was typically Sunday nights, and now it's going to be Monday through Friday as well. And so it's super exciting. It'll be Lou Canellis, Tina Wynn, myself. I know today we're doing something with the Athletics' Dan Wiederer up here at Hallis Hall. And we're going to have a rotating cast of sports figures and journalists throughout the market to bring you the most up-to-date sports news. So we're super excited. There's never enough sports talk in this town and people love it. So I think it'll be a great thing.
And it's never enough coffee because you put in a lot of work and you're going to need the energy. Cassie Carlson, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us today. And good luck during the press conference and on the new show as well.
Thanks, Tia.
All right. See you later. All right. So we have a lot coming up on Chicago Live. I mentioned Alderman Anthony Beal of the 9th Ward. He will be joining us to talk about a new hotel coming to the Pullman community, which is really interesting, exciting, I think, for the community as well, because this is the first hotel in 40 years south of Hyde Park. We'll have that coming up right after this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. This is a live look at McCormick Place right now, where Governor J.B. Pritzker is actually touring a tech show that is unfolding at McCormick Place. We do expect live remarks from him. That will happen sometime after 2 o'clock, and we will be sure to bring it to you live right here on Chicago Live. We want to go to something that unfolded in our community. This happened over the weekend, right in the community of Bellwood. I spoke with Jaleel Anthony earlier, and hopefully he's with us live now. Jaleel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you for joining us. So let me kind of give the backstory. Jaleel Anthony and his mom, his family, owns a home in Bellwood. They had a situation where a porch pirate came on Saturday, stole a package. They got a little glimpse of him, but they wanted to see if they could really catch him in full view, his full face and everything. So they set up a bait package. Jaleel, walk me through what happened thereafter.
Yeah, so we set the package up for him to actually come back to the house. And little and behold, within less than 72 hours, he actually returned back to the house. And this time, what he thought was a package was an empty box that he actually came out to took. So when he came and actually grabbed the box, the alarms went off again, letting us know that someone was at the door. Once we instantly, my mom said that, hey, he's back. I got up and I went straight towards the door.
You confronted him, and I want our viewers to know that you do have a concealed carry license. So you confronted him. This video has exploded on social media. You're in your underwear and you're carrying your weapon. What did you say thereafter when you were face to face with this guy?
Yeah, so to just be key to, make sure I'm following Illinois state laws when it comes to concealed carry is one, I never pointed the weapon at him. As a matter of fact, the weapon was still concealed behind me the entire time. I just let him know that, hey, I am concealed to carry, and you are on my property, and I know you're here to commit a criminal act. And I said, hey, do not move. Wait right here. And I then, asked my mom to go ahead and call the police and told him don't enter his vehicle because I didn't know he had a weapon on him or a weapon in the car. But I didn't want him to enter the car, and I wanted him to wait right there till the police came back, or till the police arrived.
I want to point out the fact that on that initial theft, the first theft that happened, a police report was filled out. You call the police back out. They search the suspect. What do they find?
They found, 30 plus packages, 30 plus packages from all over, not just in our neighborhood, but multiple throughout our block. They found multiple throughout the township of Berwyn. They found multiple throughout Lyons Township, throughout Maywood, throughout, Oakland. We even found out more that packages were from all over in his car, stolen packages.
What do you say to the people that say, Jaleel, this is just a package. You should have let it go. You can replace a package. Why confront someone over something so small? What do you say to those people?
Yeah, so, my biggest thing that I've been telling people, it's not the package that we were even the biggest concern. Materialistic things can be replaced. Our biggest concern is that you felt comfortable enough to enter our privacy, into our private yard, walk on the porch, not once, but twice, and commit a criminal act. And at that point, I felt that someone had to do something at some point, and I'm brave enough to protect me and my family.
You decided to be a little bit more vocal with this. You took it to social media, and now you've had all of these people from your community and beyond telling you that this guy has come on their property. What have you found out since this happened to you about this particular suspect?
My God. So I thought it was a joke at first. Somebody commented and said, he's a serial porch thief. But to be honest, that is the truth. We found out from over about 7 different townships in the Cook County suburban area, not just West Cook County, but also the South Cook County. He's been stealing packages, not just as of 2025. Also in 2024, we saw CBS 2 did a report where he took packages there as well and was arrested for it. And he, with the same car and same clothing, and he's back on the streets doing the same thing that he feels that I guess rightfully so, he feels like he can.
You said that you saw him this morning when you went to the police station to review the police report. It was as if nothing happened. What are you thinking now overall about your safety and your family's safety?
Yeah, so first thing first, going to the police station to just get a copy of the police report and seeing the criminal who has stolen multiple packages from multiple townships from all over and watching him commit this act and then watch him walk into the police station with his family. I didn't even recognize him at first, but then he asked for his car and then I pieced it together. It was shocking. And it made me feel that in Illinois, the laws are here to protect the criminals. They're not here to protect the working hard citizens who get up every day and go to work and do what we have to do to survive, right? So I truly felt that if anything, this made me even more 100% sure that I have to do whatever I have to do to protect my family because those who we elect they're not there to protect me.
To your knowledge, was this suspect charged? Because I know you guys do have a court date of when he's supposed to appear before a judge, which makes me think at least he's been charged.
Yeah, so from what I know, he's been charged with, the theft. But we will be present at that court case to definitely, do whatever we can to make sure people like this are not inflicting on neighborhoods and communities that are actually, relatively safe. People like this just do not deserve to continue to thrive and inflict in our communities.
Let me ask you this. What do you say to other people? Because I know you had a decent amount of comments on your video of people saying, Jaleel, it's just a package. What do you say to other people that have fallen victim to this crime?
My biggest thing is, one, your safety comes first. I am a 6'3" man. I'm pretty hefty, and I feel big enough and brave enough to protect me and mine. One, I embrace my Second Amendment and to protect my household. So if you can, I say do so. But for those who are victim to the same thing, I say speak up, file a report, do what you can. But at the end of the day, protect you and your household, and do what you can legally with under the scope of the law to protect you and your family.
All right. Well, Jaleel Anthony, we are happy that you're at least safe. This is a story that I'm sure we will continue to follow. Let us know what happens with that court date and what happens, in the future, because like you said, this is a repeat criminal that has repeatedly stolen people's packages off of their porch. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, we want to go now to live drone footage. This is a Ford City Mall. We do know that the alderman there, Curtis, of the 18th Ward, will have a community meeting tonight. We're going to have much more on that drone video and talk more about Ford City Mall. We'll have it right after this break. Welcome back to Chicago Live. If you grew up on the south side, maybe the southwest side as a child, you probably remember going to Ford City Mall. I know I do, and it seems like this mall is about to definitely come down. We do have our drone crew out there right now. We have Ed Flynn, and we also have Todd Gertner out there right now who's going to fly the drone and show us what is happening over at Ford City Mall. We know that the alderman there, Derek Curtis of the 18th Ward, is actually holding a community meeting. It will happen tonight at 6 p.m. in the 7500 block of South Pulaski. That's actually the location. This is at Richard J. Daley College. We have you flying that drone there, Ed and Todd. What are you seeing so far? We know that this mall, which was iconic in the community, is supposed to come down.
So hey Tia, we're just lifting off right now. We're just doing our pre-flight checklist here and making sure we're good to go. We're actually in airspace of Midway Airport, so we had to kind of go through and get authorized for that. But we'll spin around here and make sure we're doing everything properly, and we'll go up. We'll kind of show you the mall. We are limited right now because we're so close to the airport to 100 feet altitude, but you'll be able to see overhead and what the mall looks like today.
You can see the lot is empty right now, Tia. Earlier we took a look inside, and unfortunately a lot of the interior is empty too. So one thing you might notice is that I had to turn my back on you because I have to keep an eye on the drone the entire time while Todd is flying. So as he's getting the shots that you guys are seeing, I have to keep an eye on the drone so that I know he's in a safe area.
I'm at 80 feet.
83.
Can you bring
Claire? If you go to the right.
So what's interesting about this shot and what you're showing is I was at Ford City Mall, I would say probably about maybe 2-3 years ago, and it was desolate there. And I figured it would come a time when the mall would close. This closure and, the demolition has brought the community together, but on a divided issue. Some feel like the mall should be repurposed, that site should be repurposed for housing and commercial space. And that's not what's about to happen at all. In fact, we know that it's going to be redeveloped as an industrial campus. And in fact, more than 600 neighbors, this is according to Block Club Chicago, signed a petition demanding developers to just stop their plans of redeveloping this site. So I kind of see what you guys are seeing there. Very empty. It looks like...
yeah.
Go ahead. What are you guys seeing? You're seeing it a little closer than I am.
It's just kind of a sad sight. It's a building that was once thriving with shops and memories and holidays and celebrations and all that. It's just kind of, the parking lot has a lot of overgrown grassy spots, and there's a few people trickling in and out.
Still looking good. Yeah, there's a handful of stores. I would say more than 50% are empty now. The parking lots, as you can see, are empty. Kids came here to see Santa, and now that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned the percentage of the mall that was occupied. It was about, I think they said 54% of the mall was vacant, not many stores left. And this is really a sign of the times across the United States, which is really interesting. It's an estimated 1,200 malls across the United States, and by 2028 there are projections that there will be as few as 900 malls still in operation. As you know, a lot of companies, a lot of businesses are now online, and that does not help when you're in the business of having a strip mall or a mall in general. So yeah, this is very sad to see. Ed, I know you're from the area. Did you ever take a trip to Ford City Mall?
Yeah, we were kind of between Ford City, Chicago Ridge, and Orland Park Mall. But we would come here. I know, I remember as a really, really young kid coming here because it would be thriving. And there was all the secondary stores and shops that would be outside of it, the restaurants and all that. And those seem to be trickling away too.
Yeah, it's really a sad sign of the times. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, what I'm doing right now is I have to communicate with Todd. So you're getting kind of a behind the scenes. As we're flying it, we're telling you what we're seeing from the air, but also I have to make sure that Todd knows that he's clear, check on his batteries, bring any things that could come into our airspace that could be of concern to make sure we're doing this flight safely and that we get what we need properly. So I keep my eye on the drone the whole time. That's why my back is turned to the camera. But Todd can see in the bubble what he's looking at.
I don't know if you see, I think there's 2 cars on this entrance of the mall. 2
Yeah, I see
cars.
it. Just 2 lonely cars there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Ed, you're operating as the spotter, keeping everything safe. We see a car going around the bend there. We appreciate you both for this. Again, anyone that's watching, if you live in the community, maybe you have some concerns, you want to know what this property will be redeveloped for. Derek Curtis, the alderman of the 18th Ward, is having a community meeting at 7500 South Pulaski, 6 p.m. today at Richard J. Daley College. Ed and Todd, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Tia.
Thanks for having us, Tia.
Oh, no problem. You guys always work hard. We appreciate all of your hard work. We want to talk about something else that has been a work in progress, and that is this hotel that is slated to come to the Pullman community. Alderman Anthony Beal is with us of the 9th Ward. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, Tia.
You know, this is incredible. This will be the first hotel in 40 years south of Hyde Park. Tell us about what all of this means really for your community, because I've been in Pullman. I would say I was there just last week. There's been a huge redevelopment right off there off of the expressway. You have more restaurants, a lot of people moving, a lot of commerce coming. What does this mean for the totality of your ward?
Well, this is one of the last pieces that we've been really looking at, because, when we did the National Monument, when President Barack Obama signed that into law, and then we have all the shopping with the Walmart, the Ross, the Planet Fitness, and we have a lot of industrial like SC Johnson, Amazon that have come in. We have Gotham Greens, and so we have a lot of, energy in the community right now. And then we also have a new Culver's, we have a new Chick-fil-A, we have a new Jimmy John's, we have Lexington Betty's Smokehouse, a world-renowned barbecue. If you haven't had it, you need to come and have some of that great barbecue we have to offer here. We have a Potbelly's. And so all these things were happening along with the Pullman Community Center, where we have thousands of people coming in participating in sports and training for ACT and SAT training as well. The last piece was people are shopping here, people are, eating here now, having sit-down restaurants. But when it came down for them to leave and go lay their head, they had no place to go. And so we know we needed a hotel. So now when people come to our community, they can eat, sleep, play, and really tour our community as well. And we have a lot to offer here in the Pullman community. So I think that having a hotel here, the first hotel in over 40 years, on the far south side, is really breathtaking. And we're really excited to have an African-American owner, Andre Gardner, who I've known for over 30 years, to have him and his wife's dream come true here, to because he had always talked about having a hotel, being part of a hotel chain, and he got his wish. So we're moving forward.
Where exactly will this hotel be located in Pullman, and how many rooms? How big will it be? What will be all inside?
Well, it's 103 rooms. We also have conference rooms, and it will have a pool as well. And so, people will be able to come and have conferences. They'll have weddings, receptions, whatever the case may be. And so, it's a national chain. It's a Hampton Inn. And so we're really excited. It's the first of its kind on the far south side. And to have those things happen in the Rose and Pullman community, you say to yourself, who would have ever thought it, just a few years ago?
Any timeline as of right now of when this hotel will be officially complete?
Well, we're going to break ground this year. We're going to break ground, and it's going to take between 15 and 18 months to build it. So we're looking at, late 26, early 27 grand opening, and it'll be right in time for the summer season.
Alderman Beal, when we look across Chicago and we look at some of these communities where people come and they visit and they are tourists, are you thinking that because of what has been built there, like you talked about all of the restaurants, the stores that are there, and then obviously the Pullman National Historical Park, do you see this as a place where tourists will come and now have a place to stay? Absolutely.
Well, tourists are already coming. Right now, we have over 350,000 tourists coming to the Pullman community right now today. But those people now, can, spend some of those tourism dollars in the community, because now they have some place to sleep, they have some place to eat, they have some place to shop, they have some place to come and play sports activities, because we have a lot of sports activities here, even at the Pullman Community Center. And people are coming from Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa, and they can't stay in the community. And so they have to go outside the city of Chicago or go further north. Like I say, the next hotel is in Hyde Park. And so now those people will be able to stay in the community, shop in the community, spend their money, sleep, eat. And, it's a really holistic approach that we've taken. And having this hotel operator in the community is, it's really, really one of the last pieces of the puzzle that we really needed to put together.
When I think about a hotel of that size, I also think of jobs. And then I also think of local jobs, because we hear that time and time again from aldermen across Chicago. We want jobs in our community. Is the intent here to make sure that a portion of these jobs are given and doled out to people in the community that actually live within the community, within your ward?
Well, that's always the first approach that we take. Whenever we have jobs coming online, we try to make sure that the people in this community are in line for those jobs first. Now, we can't promise anybody a job, but what we can do is put you in a position to succeed. And if you're in line first, and you present yourself well and have the qualifications, then of course, we want to make sure people from the community are employed as well. And Tia, I don't know if you saw the study just a few weeks ago. We've leveraged over $1.5 billion of public-private investment in the Ninth Ward alone. And so those a few thousand jobs and having that reinvestment in the community, it's just a great compliment to what we've been able to do in the community. And the community has really, they've supported us here, and they've made sure that they stuck by us. And the community should really be proud of their efforts to see all these things happening right here in the Roseland Pullman community.
There's not a lot of national historical parks to begin with. This is the first for the city of Chicago. When that happened, and since that's happened, talk about what that has done for your ward.
Well, first of all, let me just say, when the president was looking at signing this into law, he reached out and he said, look, we need the community to really get active and get mobilized to give me the cover I need to sign this into law. The president needed to make sure that there was community support. And so he gave us the charge to say, hey, show me that there's community support to give me the cover necessary to sign this into law. And we did that. The community got active, we got organized, we got mobilized, and the community showed that there was a huge effort, and we fit the criteria for him to be able to sign this into law. And he did that. And, a lot of credit goes to the community, but as well, a lot of credit also goes to former Mayor Emanuel, who made a phone call personally to the president and asked him to sign it. Rahm Emanuel came out here. We had a huge rally with thousands of people. And that, synergy made its way all the way to Washington. And the president said, hey, we need to go ahead and do this. And he did that. And so the community has really been active, and even more now than ever before, about what we want the national park to look like, feel like, and look like, and we're doing that. And we're still having meetings. The national park is really taking a hit because this current president, has cut some of the resources. It used to be open almost 360 days out of the year, and now we've cut that, and now we're only open maybe 3 or 4 days out of the week. And so we want to make sure we get those line items back in the budget, because people are coming to the Roseland Pullman community to see what we have to offer. And when they come, we're going to make sure we get those tax dollars, and we're going to sit them down, and we're going to feed them good. They're going to participate in what we have to offer here, and then we're going to make sure they can lay their head down at the New Hampton Inn.
It's interesting that you bring up the funding cuts, because I was going to ask you about it and really how it's impacted business as usual in your ward and people visiting. How has it had an impact?
Well, we've had to lay off a few people from the National Park Services. And so when we had to cut back and some people got laid off and a couple of people lost their jobs, that's a huge impact, because we want the facility to be open to the public whenever somebody wants to, visit the national parks. And so we want to make sure those funding resources are reinstated and we can get the park back open and bring those good, hardworking people who are making sure that national park story is told with, the George Pullman and A. Philip Randolph stories are being told in our community and what they did and, and what they brought to the labor movement, and all those things really sparked right here out of the Ninth Ward. And so we need to tell that story, but we need people to tell it, and we need the building to be open to be able to tell that story.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You said 350,000 tourists come through the Pullman community each year. Let me ask you this. What does it look like? The hotel is up and running. Now you got me thinking about that brisket and mac and cheese from Lexington Betty. People have that as an option. They have the Chick-fil-A. They have some sports activities. What does it look like when it's all said and done in your mind when this hotel is built for the community as a whole in tourism?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, it's what we're doing is working. And when I say that, we first brought the Walmart in to bring jobs into the area because we know we had a food desert in the community. Well, we bridged the food desert. And now that this is one of the, high-ranking Walmarts as far as revenue in the city of Chicago and probably the state of Illinois. So it's doing extremely well. And so once we brought the Walmart, the Ross, the Planet Fitness, then we started pivoting and started bringing industrial jobs into the area, and that's when we brought S.E. Johnson, we brought Gotham Greens, Method, the soap manufacturing company. So all these industrial users started coming into the area, and then we got Amazon, and so Amazon came. And, that's a few hundred more jobs into the area because we know everybody has Amazon coming to their door almost on a daily basis. And so those were jobs that came online. And so, and now, with the Cold Bellies and the Chick-fil-A and Lexington Betty's, the Jimmy John's that'll be opening up at the end of this month. And, so all those things are happening. And we have a few more restaurants that we're going to be announcing in short order. And so all these things, are hand in hand. You got the stores, the eating, the restaurants, the shopping, the recreation, the jobs, and we're doing a lot of housing as well now. We started putting infill housing back online. So I think we've already completed maybe about 30 or 40 new homes in the Roseland area as well. And we want to do a couple of hundred at the end of the day. And so we want to give people that option.
Yeah, because you don't have to live in the community to come there because, for example, you're so accessible right off of that expressway that I stop in your community all the time because you're right there. There's the gas station. There's the Chick-fil-A, like you said, Culver's. So you're absolutely right. Building up that, I think the commerce helps the community because looking at where you're located, traveling through the city, there's not much there until you hit really the suburbs after, especially if you're heading southbound. There's not much there after that. So you're receiving a lot of people that may not even live there that's coming off of the expressway. Have you seen an influx of that kind of traffic?
Let me tell you, when we put the sign up off the Bishop Ford Expressway that Chick-fil-A is right off 111th Street, people are getting off in droves. And let me just say, one thing I cannot be remiss to say, we have a wonderful 18-hole golf course over at Harborside Golf Course. It's a wonderful golf course, and so this is going to allow us the opportunity to bring huge tournaments to that golf course, and those people be having a place to eat and sleep, and so we're really excited about that.
Well, Alderman Beal, as always, it's always a pleasure to have some time to talk with you. This is a little longer format, so we got a chance to catch up. I appreciate you tuning in with us, and I also appreciate just hearing all of the development and everything that's happening, because I think sometimes, especially in places like Chicago, sometimes people kind of stay in their own little neck of the woods and they don't venture out to really know what else is available to them. So we appreciate you coming on and really highlighting your community. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thanks so much. And come on down and enjoy the Roseland Pullman National Park, National Monument, and we have a lot to offer here. And
we'll be there for the groundbreaking, too, of the new hotel. Alderman Beal, it was a pleasure. We have much more coming up on Chicago Live. We're going to start our 2 o'clock hour here shortly. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. We do have some breaking news that we definitely want to get to. Charles James Kirk, known as Charlie Kirk, has been shot. This happened in Utah at an event there. He's 31 years old, and he's from our area of Arlington Heights. You see the vice president there posting this, saying that he's saying a prayer for Charlie Kirk, a genuinely good guy. And also, I think that said a father. Kirk is the founder of Turning Point USA. We know that he is a Republican. He goes around to college campuses and really puts his viewpoint out there, sometimes in heated debates with people that are on the other side of the aisle. Again, this is all breaking news, so we don't know all of the details of what has unfolded, but we do know he has been shot. It seems like it is pretty extreme, the condition that he may be in. And you saw there, Vice President J.D. Vance put that statement out praying for Charlie Kirk. Again, he is from Arlington Heights. He's 31 years old, and he does have 2 children. Again, trying to learn more about the circumstances of what happened and trying to get more detail, but this is literally just unfolding as we're bringing it to air right now. So I'm trying to see what we're looking at. It says that he had a scheduled appearance at Utah State University, and this was part of his American Comeback Tour. And this was a petition that was out there online, a petition against him coming to the university. I'm trying to see if we can see how many people signed this, but clearly there was some opposition on the other side. Some people that did not want him to come to this university. And unfortunately, this has played out in this way that he has been shot. We don't know the circumstances of that. But again, we do know that he is from our area. We're trying to learn more about exactly what happened. Again, the vice president of the United States, very close. He's definitely a Trump supporter, has supported the Trump administration along the way. So it isn't a shock that the vice president would comment on this. It will be really interesting to see if the president himself says anything about this. Now, you are looking right now. This is from Pete Hegseth that put out a statement as well. Prayers for Charlie Kirk, an incredible Christian, American, and human being. May the healing hand of Jesus Christ be upon him. Now, I am looking at some information right now. This is coming in from our Salt Lake City station, Fox 13, who's down there in Utah, about exactly what is happening there. I'm going to read you some of what we have learned. A suspect is in custody after political activist Charlie Kirk was believed to have been shot during a speaking appearance at Utah Valley University in the area. School officials, let me try to get this here, have commented on this, and school officials said gunshots were fired from the top of one of their centers there, the Losi Center on campus, which is approximately 200 yards from where Kirk was speaking. The shooting occurred about 20 minutes into Kirk's speech. His condition is currently unknown. They're saying his condition is unknown, but obviously it is serious enough for people across the country, lawmakers across the country, those that are in high political offices, sending their prayers to him. So obviously this is a very serious situation. Again, I didn't know this until today, till I researched this, but Charlie Kirk is from our own backyard, Arlington Heights, Illinois. He's only 31 years old. He is married. He does have 2 children. And of course, I guess the good news here, that suspect is in custody. And some people did not want him showing up to the university. Of course, we'll have much more on this right here on Chicago Live. Stay with us. We'll have much more right after this break.
Welcome back to the second hour of Chicago Live on this Wednesday. Time is now 2:04. I'm Brian Jackson joining you now. Right now, we're going to take a live look where we are waiting for some remarks from Governor Pritzker. He is holding a media availability just down the road at McCormick Place. As you can see in the background there, he is at the FABTECH Expo. We are expecting that around 2:15 Central Time. You can see a couple of people are checking cameras and checking audio levels and things of that nature. As soon as the governor steps to the mic, we will bring that for you here on Chicago Live. Now, for now, we're going to head out to the Adler Planetarium, where scientists believe that some spots that they sampled on a rock over Mars on the last year may have potentially been some ancient life. That discovery was made a little bit earlier today. We are joined now by the Director of Astronomy at the Adler Planetarium. Could you give us your name for us, please?
Yes, I'm Geza Juk.
Thank you, Geza, for joining us this afternoon. For our viewers at home, a lot of us are obviously very intrigued by what is out there on Mars. What exactly did the rover find there on those Martian rocks, and why are scientists so excited about this find?
Well, so the Mars rover Perseverance was sent to a crater, Jezero crater, that we believe used to be an ancient lake about 3 billion years ago. And a lake like that is just sort of the ideal location for finding life, if life once existed on Mars. And so it's been, the water's been dried up for, billions of years. But so in the lake bed, Perseverance has been going around looking for spots where we think that's sort of the ideal. And currently, or about a year ago, it was exploring an area where we believe a river was flowing, called the Bright Angel area. And it found a rock, Cheva rock, which appear to have interesting mineral deposits on it that are really consistent with how minerals get deposited in the presence of life here on Earth. And so scientists had the Perseverance take a sample, and we've been looking at it very carefully since last year to say, well, is this what it looks like? And the answer seems to be, so far, it's really pretty compelling evidence that there, at that time, billions of years ago, there were microbes there on Mars. Now, is it completely firm evidence? No, it isn't. It's not the sort of extraordinary level of evidence that you'd want to make an extraordinary statement like there was life on Mars. But so far it's looking very good, and all of the mineral compositions and the way they're laid out and the presence of organic molecules all seems to be consistent.
Geza, give us an idea, kind of walk us through that process. What does that testing look like? When they bring back this rock sample, what kind of test do they put it through to maybe figure out if there was life on Mars at one point?
Okay, so the first thing that they did when they plucked a sample was to look very carefully at sort of the morphology. Where are so what it looks like is these sort of little leopard spots. And it looks like something was making changes in the rock sort of progressively out from a center. And so they look very carefully at the morphology and compare that to things here on the Earth. What does the action of microbes here on Earth look like? And then they looked very carefully with special instruments on board Perseverance at exactly what kind of minerals those are made. And again, they found minerals which are the same sort of minerals that we see here on Earth in association with life.
And scientists,
so it's go on.
I was going to say, scientists there, they saw patterns in the rocks that they're kind of like poppy seeds and leopard spots. What exactly does that look like?
So the poppy seeds are little small dark patches in the rock. And then the leopard spots are where it appears that one of these poppy seeds has sort of grown. And so now the dark edges are sort of in these little scalloped formations that look just quite a lot actually like leopard spots. And what we think is that as sort of a colony of the bacteria grew, right where where it originally was, it uses up all of the food, all the fuel, that the energy source there, and so then it has to sort of grow outwards, and then wherever the edge between the colony and the rest of the rock, that's where it's still active.
I got one more question for you before we get you out of here this afternoon. NASA would love to bring these samples back here to Earth, but that mission has had a lot of delay. So what is the plan going forward?
So the plan going forward is that some of these samples are encapsulated and they're placed for future retrieval. And NASA has put forward requests saying, hey, our current plans are quite expensive. I mean, it's a very difficult task to get samples back from Mars, but maybe other folks have really clever new ideas. And so they put forward a request for proposals and ideas saying, hey, if you've got an idea that, maybe can do this task. And so it's a well-defined task. If you can think of an idea, then here's a process to propose those ideas. And the hope is that we'll come up with a way to solve this problem, how to send a mission there, gather the samples that Perseverance has already produced, and then bring them back for a lot cheaper than the current projections.
All right, Gezegyu, our Senior Director of Astronomy for the Adler Planetarium, thanks so much for your perspective after these rocks were found on the planet Mars. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
All right, time is now 2:11 on this Wednesday edition of Chicago Live. Coming up after a short break, we're going to check in with some breaking news. President Trump ally Charlie Kirk has been shot in Utah. We're going to have some breaking news updates on that when we return from a short break.
Say that it's, if I had to guess, 95% local students. Like I said, it's our state's largest university. There were some members that weren't students that were there, but very few. No security checkpoints. It's a very open campus. It's very much a commuter campus. Come on, Orem, Utah is one of the safest places on the planet. And so we just don't have these types of things. We don't have murders, let alone shootings, let alone something of this magnitude. And like I said, there was a light police presence. I'm sure, I hope, there were some undercover people. Charlie has his own a bit of security, but not to deal with, a couple thousand people that were there to see Charlie. They had microphone challenges because there were so many people, they couldn't get all the volume that they wanted. People are having a hard time hearing. But I think when this story is written, I don't think it was a coincidence that the shot rang out when he got a question about transgender mass shootings. That maybe, hopefully I'm wrong. I'll probably get criticized for jumping to conclusions, but I'm just telling you, in the 30 minutes or so, I thought, wow, I don't think that's a coincidence, but we'll see.
So, Jason, obviously there's a lot of images out there, a lot of video out there right now, but the university says that they have a suspect in custody. Did you have any sense of anyone in the crowd who was being taken down by people around this person? Anything of that?
Well, look, as soon as I saw Charlie go back, you realized that it was a shot. I've been shooting. I've been around guns enough to know that it was an actual shot. And immediately, I started thinking of our daughter and our son-in-law and my wife, who wasn't quite in the venue yet. So my attention, focused there and making sure they were okay and getting people out. It wasn't as if there was a whole bunch of gunfire. It was one shot.
Which makes it,
and then it stopped.
Yeah, obviously sound.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you go ahead, but I mean that's an assassination attempt, and it sounds from what you're saying that it was clearly aimed at Charlie Kirk and not, sort of a spraying in the crowd. Thank God of gunfire. It appears that this was a very targeted attempt on his life, and They did take someone into custody, though, so we're waiting for more information on that. Sometimes it can appear that, sometimes it's the right person, sometimes it isn't the right person, and we don't know the answer to that yet, right, Jason?
No, we don't, but I can tell you, being there, seeing it within proximity, it seemed like it was a close shot. The venue is such that there's a 4-story building, which is the administrative building to the south. The other buildings around the side are not quite so high, but you could be on the 2nd level and watch Charlie. The police had moved the people. There were some people that were above Charlie, so that awning that you're seeing there, there's a place to be there, but the police moved people out to the sides. And so you couldn't be right above where you were at. But if I had to guess, and again, it's still raw, but if I had to guess and give a police statement right here, right now, today, see where that water is? It looked to me like it was in close proximity, straight ahead, right in that area.
Yeah, we're looking
if I had to guess, again.
Of course,
yeah.
No, we are have a huge caveat on everything at this point, but we're just putting together what we can. And there's a group of people right in front of the stage. Then there's a bit of a gap. I think people can see this on this aerial shot here. I don't know if that was, equipment, or for some reason that area is cleared. But there's how many people would you say were in that crowd today, Jason?
So that kind of greenish spot you're looking at is water. There's just a water feature on what we call the quad, and it kind of graduates up so students can sit. And it's a great little sort of an amphitheater type thing where you can sit on the grass and look at whatever's going on down there. So again, I'm guessing 2,000 plus people. Charlie came out kind of right at noon local time, mountain time, throwing the hats, gearing up the crowd. They're having a little bit of a microphone problem. But everybody, they were chanting either USA or Charlie Kirk. And when they saw him backstage, they started chanting Charlie Kirk. They were really genuinely excited to see him. There were a few people. There was one gay pride flag there, but they were not disruptive. They were very respectful in every sense of the way. He came out and acknowledged them, said, hey, come down, be part of the discussion, which the crowd took really well. And that's the idea of Charlie Kirk, is that he'd answer things from anybody, and you can come stand. So there's that little grassy area, and there's security there, but you can come walk up there. They hand you a microphone, and you can ask and interact with Charlie. But the person who was asking the question, I don't think, again, if I had to guess, I don't think was the shooter. I think it happened behind that person. But I just,
Can I ask you, Jason,
I'm still in shock that it happened.
Of course. We're all just processing this, and you were there with your family. Obviously, you're shaken up, but you're doing a great job of, keeping us informed on the lay of the land here and what happened. He was tossing hats that said 47 on them, obviously in support of President Trump. What hospital would be the hospital that he would be taken to, or anyone who's injured in that area would be taken to, Jason?
Well, fortunately, we have a really good hospital, Utah Valley University, Utah Valley Hospital. All the level 1 trauma situations, if I got the numbers right, the highest degree of trauma. We're not used to dealing with a lot of shootings here in Utah, quite frankly, but if you had to extract somebody and get them there, it's a matter of minutes away. I don't know how quickly they were able to do that, but there is a very, very good medical situation right there. And then, of course, there are other options, but the closest one is right there in Provo. This happened in Utah, in Orem, right at off of I-15. And like I said, it's a commuter campus. There's no on-campus living. There's very little of that. Most of these students commute, and between BYU, which is a few miles away, and UVU, there's about 100,000 students. So we got a big student population, and this was a great afternoon.
And very much a community, as you say. Everybody lives close by. The Utah Valley Hospital, and I cannot confirm that this is where he was taken. We're just trying to figure out what would be logical, has a level 2 trauma center. It is in Provo, Utah, as you said, Jason. So we're going to continue to get this information as it comes in, and we're trying to be obviously as accurate as we possibly can as we wait for an update on his condition. I know Jason's going to stay with us, and we thank you for that. I want to just bring in, we're going to go to the White House now for a moment. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt posting on X, please pray. Everyone's prayers going up right now for Charlie Kirk. I'm joined by senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich, reporting live from the North Lawn. Jackie, welcome. What can you tell us from the White House today?
Yeah, Martha, I just got this from a White House official. I'm told the Situation Room and the National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio, who's also serving as the Secretary of State, are both actively engaged. They're monitoring this situation, and they are in contact with state officials. So you've got the Situation Room here and Rubio looking actively into what is going on, receiving updates, and I've also inquired anything they know about the suspect or his condition. I haven't heard anything on that yet, but I did go up to Upper Press immediately when this news broke to see if anything was coming out on this, and I was told that it had just happened, and everyone was in the Oval Office. I was told we'd have an update soon from the president, and he did put that out. He posted on Truth Social, "We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him." Now, remember, Charlie Kirk, who leads Turning Point USA, did a lot of work in support of the president's reelection campaign. Turning Point USA obviously engages young voters, conservative voters, and President Trump in this election really turned the tide among that demographic, which is historically an unreliable voting bloc, and turned out young voters. Charlie Kirk played a huge role in that. He was active in support of the president on the campaign trail and is obviously beloved by a lot of people here. We've seen well wishes coming out from everybody from the president to the vice president, the Secretary of War, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, everyone here just awaiting updates on his condition and also looking into actively who perpetrated this. So we'll bring you any other news that we have, but the breaking news from here is that the Situation Room and the National Security Advisor are monitoring this. Martha.
Jackie, thank you very much. The video that you're seeing right now on the right-hand side of your screen is people scattering, which is understandable after this shot rang out. We're told that it was one shot, but of course that is something that could change as we get more information on this too. But you can see the perspective here. I mean, it's just chilling, really. I mean, you watch all these people spreading out, and because, you know, we've had so many of these sorts of incidents, and people see, you know, school shootings and the like. This feels like something different. This feels like
All right, we're now breaking away from our Fox News coverage of Trump ally Charlie Kirk being shot in Utah. You were hearing some remarks there from some of our colleagues over at the network. Now we're going to actually go to Fox 13, our affiliate in Salt Lake City, where they're now speaking with witnesses who were at this rally while that shooting happened. Let's listen in.
Him down, he yelled, "I'd do it again." Wow.
All right, we're going to send it back to you. We'll continue to talk to people who witnessed this and update you as we get more information.
Moment. We don't have any reason to think anything other than that. There are some videos of someone being taken down to the ground by police. We don't know if those are accurate or if those were, you know, someone in the crowd or indeed the person who pulled the trigger in this horrific and tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk. We're also waiting for more information, and we will bring it to you as soon as we get it, on his condition. No details yet, other than that this was obviously a very serious situation. And Jason Chaffetz reported, and we saw on video, that you can see Charlie Kirk hit and then falling back and to the left out of his chair where he was speaking at one of his very popular Prove Me Wrong sessions on college campuses. So we'll keep a close eye on new information. I want to bring in now, this is actually, let's start with this new statement from Utah Valley University. We had a speaker, Charlie Kirk, invited by a student group, Turning Point USA, speaking on campus today at noon. At about 12:20, shots were fired from a building about 200 yards from the speaker. Now, this is new. according to the best of our knowledge, the individual was hit and was taken away immediately by his security personnel. That individual, of course, is Charlie Kirk. Campus is closed for the rest of the day, and our campus police have a suspect in custody. So that is new information. 200 from a building, 200 yards from the shooter is the newest information from the university, and obviously the investigation is just beginning in all of this. Joining me now by phone, Fox News, Fox and Friends weekend co-host Charlie Hurt. He co-hosted the show with Charlie Kirk just a few weeks ago here in New York, and is a friend, someone who knows him well. Charlie, welcome.
Indeed, Martha. I count him as a very, very good friend, and I am absolutely shocked. And obviously, as you and all of your coverage so far have pointed out, this is just absolutely heartbreaking. And our prayers go out to Charlie and his beautiful family. It was just about an hour ago. Actually, I was on the phone with Jason talking about other things. Jason Chaffetz talking about other things, and he told me that he was there waiting for Charlie Kirk, and said there like 2,000 people have gathered on this beautiful day just to hear Charlie Kirk speak. And the description he gave was so beautiful. I asked him to send a picture of it to me, and he took a picture and sent it to me, and I showed it to my wife. We were driving somewhere, and I said, this is the kind of crowd that Charlie Kirk brings on a college campus. And as Jackie was just pointing out, Charlie is the best of America. Charlie is the kind of guy that likes to talk, likes to engage with people, and engage with people who aren't normally as active in politics as they should be or might be. And he's done it so brilliantly. And he is the best of what we have to offer. And the idea that something like this would happen to him, the reason our country works is because of people like Charlie Kirk. And the only way our country doesn't work is when people resort to violence in order to silence people like Charlie Kirk. And so right now I am praying for Charlie and his beautiful family, and I'm praying for our country too.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the impact of Turning Point on the last elections. And, we've seen the youth vote, young men in particular, really migrate over the past 10 years towards President Trump and towards conservatism.
And you're watching live coverage after political activist Charlie Kirk was shot at Utah Valley University this afternoon during a speaking appearance there. Again, we're still gathering more details on what happened there. We do know so far that Kirk has been shot at an appearance there, and that a suspect is believed to be in custody right now. No details about that suspect have been released, nor have any details been released about the condition of Kirk. We will continue to follow this as we continue to take a short break. We'll be right back. All right, your time is now 2:30 on this edition of Chicago Live. Right now, we're going to take you right back to network coverage from Fox after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot at an event in Utah. Right now, all we know so far is that he's in the hospital. Let's listen in.
Started in this business together, and ever since he started TPUSA, I was one of the first people that was a speaker and a friend, and we've done many college campuses together, and I have since done many college campuses as a speaker for Turning Point USA, very similar to what Charlie was doing today. So this is so surreal for me. I'm praying for him. I'm praying for his family. This is just so horrific. And I got to tell you, Martha, there are so many of us conservative speakers who go out and do these events, and we want to talk to people, and we want to engage, and we want to have dialogue and debate. And it's so difficult to even organize these events because the security situation is always really anxiety inducing. I've been at TPUSA events at the University of New Mexico where the SWAT team had to be called in. I've been at an event at Clemson University that, of course, also had to have a big security presence because of the threats and the protesters. And it's just so sad that we've gotten to this point in this country where on college campuses where there should be so much dialogue and debate, this should be the epicenter for this discussion, has now turned into this environment where particularly conservative speakers have to fear for their lives when they go and just try to engage in a conversation. I'm so sickened to hear this. And like I said, first and foremost, I'm thinking of Charlie and his family.
Tommy, talk to us about Charlie, you know, as a person, as a friend, as a husband, as a dad.
So Charlie, like I said, I've known him since we were both, you know, I was in my very early 20s. I don't even think he was in his 20s yet when I met Charlie Kirk. But he's always just been a visionary, and he understood very early on that having a counterculture and having conservatives speaking and speaking to young people in relatable ways was so important. And he has always been so dedicated to that, you know, from the very beginning when the events were, you know, a couple dozen people to maybe a couple hundred people. And now, of course, thousands of people come out to see Charlie Kirk and attend these Turning Point USA events. I mean, he really built this himself from a very young age, and he recognized that there was a void in conservative speech and in conservative speakers, especially on college campuses, and he recognized that, and he's worked so hard to create these events, and he does such a good job with them, and he's actually opened the door for so many young conservatives to have a career and have, you know, a voice in this business. A lot of us really owe a lot to Charlie Kirk, and that's why another reason why this is just so sickening for us to see.
Yeah, the shooter is in custody. We want to emphasize that. We're waiting to learn more details here, both obviously first and foremost about Charlie's condition and then also about this suspect. I believe Charlie was 18 or 19 years old when he started Turning Point. And Tommy, thank you very much for being with us. We're all obviously praying for Charlie and praying for his family as we cover this story. Tommy, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Former FBI special agent.
And now we are rejoining some live interviews from people who were there at that rally as the shooting happened. Let's listen in to our Fox affiliate, Fox 13 in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, basically just the same thing. We were just leaving the food court and we were heading to our classes, and we just see a bunch of people running towards us and someone yelling that someone got shot, and so we just started running with them.
We didn't know what was happening. We thought maybe there was an active shooter on the campus.
Yeah, so
pretty scary.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
Were you guys here to like kind of watch the debates or anything that happened?
No, we just take classes here.
Yeah, I was just planning just going to my class today. So, yeah.
What are you guys gonna do now? Are you guys were you guys evacuated at all from the school, or were you guys?
We just decided to leave.
Yeah,
we weren't gonna
I was
stay.
actually told to go back to class, but
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
So yeah, is class still?
No, I think they've evacuated everybody now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, not going back.
I don't know, I just wanted to help you out if you want to hold this. Anything else that you guys, I'm sorry, missed half the conversation.
Yeah.
No, you're okay. How do you guys feel right now? Scared or anything?
We just want to go home.
We want to go home. We took the train, so we can't really find out how to get back because the campus is closed. So
The whole campus,
there's not really a way to walk back.
So it's closed even to students?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, they evacuated everyone.
So you really have no other options where to go right now?
We're not sure yet.
Yeah,
We're trying to figure it out.
We're trying to figure it out. We're walking back. We're trying to walk back.
We're trying to see if they'll let us in to get across.
And again, sorry if I'm repeating the question.
No, it's okay.
What do you think this, shooting is going to impact? I think on a broader scale. Do you think it's going to kind of cause an uproar or anything?
Well, from what I'm hearing, if it's true, the guy who got shot, he was a pretty big influence in whatever was going, like their agenda, right? Influence in whatever was going, like their agenda, right? So I don't know. I hope it all gets figured out, and I really don't want this to happen again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. From what I heard, it was a sniper from a long ways away. So I don't know. I think the focus of this should probably be on probably some sort of gun control or something like that, so that things like this can't happen again.
Anything else? Thank you guys so much for doing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Getting live reaction from people who were witnesses in Orem, Utah at Utah Valley University as Charlie Kirk was doing a Prove Me Wrong event on campus on a beautiful day at the university. Jason Chaffetz is back with us again, and he was there a short distance, really, away from the speaker. And we're looking, I'm not sure, this is live from KUTV on the screen here. I'm not sure what building this is that we're seeing. I don't know if Jason can see the building that we're looking at right now, but go ahead, Jason.
I think that's off campus. I don't know that's it's not a familiar part of it. The campus is largely cement and green.
I'm hearing it's Regional Hospital, Jason. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. See, now that it's zooming out, now this is Timpanogos Regional Hospital, which is Orem, which is probably a little bit closer to Utah Valley University. But yeah, that would make sense. In terms of proximity, that's the closest. It's not the level 1 trauma. Somebody said it was level 2, but level 1 trauma at Utah Valley. But nevertheless, if time is of the essence and you got to be somewhere fast, that's the one you're going to go to.
Mm-hmm. So we also had this information coming from the campus authorities, Jason, which, according to their early take on this, they're saying it was from a building about 200. I want to get this right. 200 yards from the speaker, to the best of our knowledge. It says it happened at 12:20, which you of course know. But your thoughts on that, if indeed that turns out to be accurate?
Look, who am I to suggest that the authorities may have gotten it wrong? That may be a little bit preliminary. I was in one of those buildings. Those windows, a lot of those windows don't even open. I don't know. Charlie was sitting under an awning. This is sunken down. So if you're sitting where Charlie is, it graduates up. Now, are there angles where buildings are available and to a would-be assassin? The answer, unfortunately, is yes. I can tell you just sitting there, and again, maybe it's the emotion of it and not looking or expecting it, it seemed like the shot was closer and that it was more direct. But I just, where he got shot and finding the perpetrator, I just feel for his family, his wife, and I just can't even imagine.
Do you know if she was there today, Jason?
I didn't see her. I didn't see her. It doesn't mean that she wasn't there. Right. But, like I said, my plan with Charlie was to try to get together with him afterwards. So I don't know. I didn't see her.
Yeah. I think we have a new post from the Vice President, J.D. Vance. Can we put that up? Do we have that up on the screen? All right, we're building that, but obviously everyone is really, I think, just making an effort to bring people together and to call for prayers across all of the universes that he crossed through, and there's a lot of them and a lot of people whose lives he touched. He started this in 2012, Turning Point, and he was, I think, 18 or 19 years old when he got this idea, and he left college, dropped out of college because he.
All right, now we're going to switch over to coverage from Live Now of the Charlie Kirk shooting incident, which happened earlier this afternoon at Utah Valley University.
Which means we have a couple rounds of rain moving in for, again, the next few days. This will continue Thursday and into our Friday as well. We could be seeing anywhere from half.
Spent many years in local and in the FBI. I train a lot. I wasn't a marksman. I wasn't a sniper, but I trained both with my sidearm and long guns. And I can tell you, for someone who trains regularly, that a 25-yard and a 50-yard is difficult. And so if the reports are correct that shot came from in excess of that and possibly 200 yards, you're talking about someone who has a tremendous amount of training, and to be able to have hit their target is just astounding. And then, of course, what does that do? That everything from the point of the shooting to the end, all that is a tremendous amount of area to cover, to secure, and secure that crime scene.
And I was going to ask you, Scott, because you and I have talked about this in the past, but when we talk about responding to a situation like this, as you said, it's chaotic. You have different agencies that are responding. The call comes out. When crews are headed out there, when law enforcement is headed to a location like this, do they do anything differently if they know exactly what's happened, or if they get a call that, could be a hoax call? Because as all of these calls are coming in, you have witnesses here who are saying, this is what happened, here is the victim. That's not always the case.
Yeah, especially in light of the hoax calls that we have seen, very much like the swatting calls. And then to see, as in close to me, the Villanova University hoax call, what that does to everybody that's involved. Not only the thousands of people that are in attendance on campus here for Charlie Kirk or elsewhere, where you have law enforcement that when they are responding, it is an active shooter. And so thereby, like anything else, whether it be in a school, a business, they are heading to neutralize that threat. And when that threat, if the reports are correct, is at such a distance, and that is a good distance. That is not your typical individual that's going into a crowded area and indiscriminately shooting because their goal is to do the maximum amount of harm in the shortest period of time. And so here it looks like it'd be interesting to see what was the lie in wait aspect. Was this person able to get into what is probably an outer perimeter? No doubt in my mind, between knowing that Charlie Kirk and has some level of security, probably not only personally, but obviously campus security, being mindful that somebody is coming onto this campus and there's going to be opposing views. And so thereby there is that standard security, just kind of watch the area, the perimeter close to the stage. When you're talking 200 yards, that is probably not secured, especially in a situation like this where we're not talking about an individual like the president.
You've been watching Live Now coverage of the shooting of political activist Charlie Kirk, which happened in Utah a little bit earlier today. I want to read you a tweet that we just got in from Governor J.B. Pritzker here in the state of Illinois. He says, the attack on Charlie Kirk is horrifying. Political violence has no place in this country and should never become the norm. I am sending my sympathies to his family and friends at this time. Again, those statements coming from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker after Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah a little bit earlier this afternoon. Time is now 2:45. We'll be right back here on Chicago Live. Welcome back to Chicago Live. Time is now 2:46. We've been bringing you breaking news after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot at an appearance at an event at Utah Valley University. We've been bringing you coverage from Live Now. We're going to listen back in.
Like this, that is attended by so many people. We've seen all of the videos that are circulating on social media very quickly, but you have gunshots. A lot of people take off running. So you don't have as many witnesses that are sticking around. Does that make it difficult at all for investigators to track down certain witnesses? Does that matter at this point?
Yeah, and that's where I would say the FBI is able to offer additional assistance so they can set up a tip line. Ultimately, what is the job of law enforcement is to get in and secure the scene, neutralize the threat. Once that threat has been neutralized, it is now an investigation, and of course dealing with any injuries other than that of Charlie Kirk being rushed to the hospital. Who else on that ground is injured, has some sort of evidence of blood and so forth, falling, whatever it may be. And so thereby people do what they are trained to do: get out of that situation, save your life, and get as far away as possible. Then once that is considered, hey, it's secure and no additional threat remains, then law enforcement wants to speak to those people who are ideal witnesses, who might have been able filming with their phone, and so have pieces of evidence captured on camera that might not otherwise have been captured by anything that is on campus. And so this is where the FBI, through their tip lines, can say, hey, if you were there, we would love to have your camera footage. We would love to speak with you. And so thereby it's going to kind of backtrack, getting everybody that they can that will volunteer return back to the scene. If not back to the scene, definitely setting up interviews with the FBI and local law enforcement at a soon but later date.
And for folks who are just joining us, we do want to kind of reset here and go over all of the details of what we know, because if you're just joining us, Essentially, you just know that Charlie Kirk has been shot. I do want to go over the details of what we know so far coming in from Fox News and other sources here, as Charlie Kirk, who is known as the conservative activist and founder of Turning Point, shot there, and the suspect is in custody. This all happening here at Utah Valley University, and they have released some very limited information. The Associated Press actually just putting out here seconds ago via sources that it appears that Charlie Kirk is listed there in critical condition after being shot at that event. Again, the Associated Press just putting that out. Now, according to Kirk's spokesperson, a very brief statement was released over to Fox News saying, quote, Charlie Kirk has been shot at Utah Valley University, condition unknown. Again, the Associated Press here just reporting he is in critical condition. Video posted from that event appeared to show Kirk being shot as he spoke to the crowd from under a white pop-up tent. And in those videos, after the shots fire, the crowd runs away, and onlookers there are heard screaming, run, run, run. Now, in a statement to Fox News, the Associate Vice President of Strategic Communication Management at Utah Valley University said the shooting happened sometime around 12:20 p.m. local time. So we're talking here maybe an hour and a half ago at this point. A lot of the information still developing, and we're getting reaction coming in from a lot of folks there. The statement that came in from the school said, quote, we had a speaker, Charlie Kirk, who was invited by a student group, Turning Point USA, who was speaking on campus today at noon. At about 12:20, shots were fired from a building about 200 yards from the speaker. To the best of our knowledge, the individual was hit and taken away immediately by his security personnel. The campus right now is going to be closed for the rest of the day, and campus police do have a suspect in custody. And while there's a lot of information floating around on social media, we want to make sure that we get the information from police specifically about who this suspect is, because that's something that you always see happen. You see, after an incident like this, people start circulating the information and say, this is who the shooter is, this is their photo, and then it turns out not to be true. So we want to make sure that we're in touch with police before we mention anything about this suspected shooter other than the fact that they are in custody.
Absolutely. And so our thanks to Josh Breslow for wrapping all of that up for us nicely, as well as Scott Duffy, a former FBI agent, giving us his insight on what he knows about such an active investigation. Scott, we appreciate your time as always. You've always been great when it comes to these breaking news incidents as that information just comes into our newsroom.
Yeah, thank you, Christina and Josh. Thank you very much.
All right, so we do want to continue to showcase some of the other video that we have here as well from the scene. Also want to make sure that folks know that we're going to be continuing to stay in non-stop coverage of this event as those details are still coming out. I mean, this is a very tragic situation that's unfolding. You can see the amount of response there from law enforcement and others in the community as they're talking here too. So what I want to do now is that we heard from just about well, that's actually right now live. We have some witnesses now speaking with Fox 13 there in Utah. Let's listen in.
Crack, because of my past experience in law enforcement, I knew it was a gun. And then I tucked behind the corner and all the crowd started racing out. And after I saw the picture of who it was, I recognized him as to be George Zim, which I know him from Turning Point USA from last year when we went down and bused down to Arizona to help on the Trump campaign.
So he was on the trip with you?
Yes, on the bus.
And that's the person you say you saw taken into custody?
That's what it appeared to be. From a distance, it appeared to be him, which I had some bad vibes about him when I was on the bus with him, and even text several people saying he was making me feel very uncomfortable.
You, sir, what did you see?
Okay, yeah, I was there and I watched the shooting. It looked like that he got hit. A direct shot right to the heart. As soon as he was hit, he fell backwards, went to the side. The audience went to their knees. I stayed up a little bit because I wanted to see if anyone saw the shooting, if they would jump all over the guy. I saw nothing like that. The crowd was pushing me so that I went backstage, and they were going around me, and I stayed a little bit backstage, and I turned and looked, and they were arresting a guy by the name of George Zim. Yeah, I know the guy. I don't think he did it. I think they arrested the wrong guy. I think think whoever did it was a good shooter, a sharpshooter. It was one shot right directly to the heart, and we need to find out who did this. I think there should be a research completely done that took place hours, maybe a day, before anything went on. Who could be there and pull that trigger and do it? And I don't think it was George Zim. He was poor, broke. He maybe was on medication, a little bit loony boon, maybe a perfect person to pick and say that did it, but I don't think he did it at all.
So at this point, but did you see him taken into custody? Did you see him with any kind of thing in his hand, any device in his hand or anything like that?
Yeah, I saw when they actually put the handcuffs behind his back. I followed him when they took him to the trooper car when he was kneeling down, and I was just thinking he was very calm, very, whatever they wanted to do, he just went right along with whatever they were doing.
But you didn't see anything in his hand or anything like that, did you?
No, I did not.
Gotcha. What was the crowd's reaction when this happened? Can you just describe what happened? You said you were just walking into the area and then this happened.
Well, when I knew it was a gunshot tucked behind the corner, and then I saw all the crowd running as fast as I could, and I was worried about people trampling each other. And I saw two college-age girls one was having a panic attack. So I grabbed both of them because she was collapsing and rushed her down underneath the tunnel and got her to calm down, then put her in my car and got her hold of her parents. So
I think it's very suspect that he was talking about guns right when he was shot. That just didn't add up. It's almost felt like that the person that was asking the questions about gun knew it was going to happen. And I hope they grab him too and question him.
Thank you both very much, and we'll send it back to you.
All right, as you see there, just wanted to get some of that reaction from those witnesses there. I do want to preface, though, as we were just listening in there, we heard one of the men, one of those witnesses, he was very fired up and passionate about what he believes he saw. He named names. We're not doing that here on Live Now from Fox. Not yet. We need to have some of this information fully vetted by all of those sources before we report on anything. And ultimately, he was saying he didn't think they arrested the right guy. Again, that's not coming from any of those officials. And here on Live Now, we will wait until we get official confirmation before we report that. And so I want to bring back into the conversation here my colleague Josh Breslow. Josh, I know we've been talking here with some of our experts. We're going to continue to do the same. We're getting the next one set up here behind the scenes. He was a special agent, former special agent, so should be able to provide some good context for us. As we're having this conversation, I mean, what we now know, Josh, is that Charlie Kirk was attending this event at Utah Valley University. He was on stage underneath a white tent when he was shot. And so you were talking about some of those updates that we also got there from the Associated Press. So we'll continue to take a look here at this shot outside of the hospital where Charlie Kirk has been taken. Again, we have this from the Associated Press, and then Josh will continue to give us those details as this is now being reported. But again, Associated Press saying Charlie Kirk is in critical condition at the hospital after being shot at Utah Valley University. This is according to an AP source.
And you've been watching coverage of Charlie Kirk after he was shot in Utah a little bit earlier today. I do want to read you a tweet from Mayor Brandon Johnson where he says, "I am praying for Charlie Kirk and his family. Violence in all of its forms should be condemned and has no place in our society." We're now going to rejoin that coverage from Live Now. Let's listen in.
just to get you in the sun. Come over here a little bit more. There you go. You can look right at me, try to ignore this camera. Let me make sure I've got your mic turned up. That would help.
And so as you can see, he's speaking to this witness before he's able to talk to him and get his answers. But I just want to make sure that we're able to hear all of those vantage points here as this is coming in. Let's continue to listen here.
I was watching him. I was probably about, if you look at the stage and you look at about maybe 3 o'clock from his position, about 3 o'clock, 2:30, that's where I was. I was right at him, and I was looking at him when I heard like it was a direct shot to the heart. It looked like right where his heart is, it started going red. He fell back and went to his side. And then I looked down at the crowd, and it looked like the crowd, they all went to their knees really fast. I kind of didn't go to my knees as fast as everybody because I wanted to see if anyone who was close to the shooter would be trampling all over that person. And I saw nothing like that at all. It just, everyone had dropped down, and for a few moments, they were just not moving. And people started getting up and moving, and the crowd started pushing me, and they pushed me so that I was basically backstage. And then when I was kind of backstage, I was kind of there, and I turned and looked, and they were arresting a guy by the name of George Zinn, who I know, I've met him before.
How do you know him?
I just know him through, I've seen him at different events. He was always a person that would go to Trump rallies and all kinds of political events. He was always there. And he would always make his way. He was always there for people that were running for different positions in government, whatever. So he's just kind of I think he's kind of popular. He was just kind of, but he's not altogether. He was being arrested very calm. They arrested him, they took him.
And you're confident it was him?
No, I'm confident of who they arrested. They arrested a guy by the name of George Zinn.
Well, I'm not saying he was the shooter. You're confident that's who they were arresting was this George?
Yeah, who they arrested was George Zinn. Oh, yeah, because I know him. I saw him.
But you're not saying he's the shooter?
No, I'm not.
I want to make sure we're clear, so we don't want to, falsely accuse someone of this.
Right.
So,
in my opinion, I don't think George Zinn was the shooter.
Okay.
This would have had to been a direct shot to the heart that had to been by somebody.
All right, as you see there, just yet another witness, again, speaking on what they believe they saw. Again, none of these reports are confirmed. We did want to just make sure that we're continuing to get some listen into those who say that they were there at this shooting as it was happening. And so now I want to bring into the conversation former FBI Special Agent Miguel Clark. Miguel, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. It's been a very busy last few hours as we're breaking down the very latest as it pertains to the shooting there with Charlie Kirk. From what you've heard so far, as we're just now here entering a new hour, we do know that he was attending an event at Utah Valley University. He was a speaker there, and they believe that there was a huge crowd of people there to attend and watch when this happened, when he was shot. So what is your first take? What should we be looking out for as we're continuing to wait for these details to come into our newsroom?
First thing, they're going to want to secure the scene, if that's at all possible. I heard that there was not really an evacuation order, but some information was provided. Hey, you need to leave campus, that classes have been canceled for the rest of the day. So you got to secure the scene. That's the first thing. Then the second thing, you're going to really start looking for any forensic evidence that's going to be left behind. At the scene, we know there's a gunshot that's taken place. So I'm going to be looking for casings. I'm going to look for anything that the shooter may have left behind, start to get an idea as to how far away the shooter was, what kind of talent and expertise is going to be required in order to be able to make a shot like that reliably and accurately. From what I understand, there was only one shot that was heard or that was recorded and is now being reported. So, that person had to have some degree of training and, at least a weapon platform that allowed for a certain amount of accuracy. Based on the people that I saw at the scene, we're looking at probably at least 40 or 50 yards. That's what it seemed like from the pictures. So that takes a fair amount of talent. That is not something that you're going to be able to do randomly without practice.
And Miguel, I was going to ask, when you're talking about something of this magnitude, Christina mentioned we've got a large crowd that's gathered there. They're very close to Charlie Kirk. He's doing his event that is all about answering questions. People can try to stump him, all of that. And then this happens there. How difficult does it make it for law enforcement? Because it's essentially chaos.
It is going to be chaos, but law enforcement has a lot of experience in responding to these types of things. Does that mean that every bit of evidence that's available to be collected can be or will be collected in this instance? Probably not. That scene would have had hundreds of people in that scene, so they have the ability to have inadvertently impacted some of the potential forensic evidence that the scene would have had if it had been a pristine scene with nobody and no barriers between the shooter and the victim, in this case, Charlie Kirk. But it's going to be a challenge either way.
I have to ask you, Miguel, as we're still continuing to look at this scene that's outside of the hospital, it's really heartbreaking to see the full response there. Really looks like it's an all hands on deck effort. But before this event took place, we do know that Kirk was speaking there at a debate that was hosted by Turning Point USA. The event at UVU had been met with some divided opinions on campus, as it's been reported by the Associated Press. In fact, there's an online petition. We saw it here on Live Now that was calling for from university administrators to bar Kirk from appearing. It received thousands of signatures, but the university did issue a statement last week citing First Amendment rights and affirming its commitment to free speech, intellectual inquiry, and constructive dialogue. In a situation like this, I have to ask you, Miguel, is security going to be up and maybe increased when they know that there are certain people who don't want a certain guest to be there? Is that something that the university likely did ahead of this?
Probably not. This is supposed to be a dialogue, right? And we're not talking about somebody who's called for